Let's start with the pledge. Candy, can you lead us with the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Fort Lee Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on August 3rd, 2021, and posted on the district's website at www.FLBOE.com, published in the board's designated online newspaper, The Record, and filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines the word meeting as any gathering, whether corporal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all of the members of a public body, held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. The purpose of tonight's special public business meeting is to convene directly into executive private session, to conduct superintendent candidate interviews, to discuss personnel, and to discuss legal matters. The board will thereafter return to public session at approximately 7 p.m. to take public comments and thereafter adjourn the meeting. No action will be taken. Could we have roll call, please?
Ms. Joe. Here. Ms. Hansilver.
Here.
Ms. Morel. Ms. Richter.
Here.
Ms. Ramba.
Here.
Mr. Rubino. Ms. Stasu.
Here.
Ms. Colback.
Here, you have a quorum. As noted, the board will be convening to executive session using a different and private Zoom link. This public Zoom link will remain open and the board will return to the public meeting at approximately 7 p.m. tonight. Now I have a motion to go into executive session.
Motion Ramba. Second Joe.
Motion Ramba, second Cho. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So we are now convening into executive session to
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Fort Lee Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on August 3rd, 2021, and posted on the district's website at www.FLBOE.com, published in the board's designated online newspaper, The Record, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee, and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. Please be advised that this meeting is being taped and may be broadcasted on local TV and the district's website at a future date. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines the word meeting as any gathering, whether corporal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all of the members of a public body, held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. Could we please have roll call?
Ms. Joe. Here. Ms. Hansilver.
Here.
Ms. Morel. Ms. Richter. Here. Ms. Ramba.
Here.
Mr. Rubino. Ms. Stasu. Ms. Colback.
Here, you have quorum. May I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion Ramba.
Motion Ramba, second Richter, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And just for the public's and the board's benefit, currently we have 23 individuals participating, and that 23 includes all of us. We will hear first from any members of the public that are physically located here tonight at the cafetorium. We do have several people present. Then we will take questions and comments from those participating remotely. As we do when we have the remote participants, please select the raise hand button in the upper left corner of your screen. Our board secretary, Harkeisha Taylor, will recognize each community member in the order of the raised hands by lowering the hand and unmuting the microphone if you are muted. Please then state your name and home address for the record and begin your comments. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. First, do we have anyone here with us that would like to make a statement or
Can
comment?
I just clarify after the 23 participants you had mentioned, so 2 of them I think are actually on our Zoom, and then I think 21 are actually public participants.
Correct.
Okay.
Because we're no longer.
Right, we're not logged in, so.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
No
You're
problem.
absolutely right. We're different than the other night when we were locked in. You're right.
So 21 public participants.
Yeah, okay. So we have 21
Thank
people
you.
that
Sure.
signed into the Zoom.
Thank you.
Tanya?
Hi, good evening. My name is Tanya Byers-Kang, and I am a Fort Lee parent. I live at 275 Tom Hunter Road. At the last meeting, a parent brought up schools being hopefully not like silos. And I would just like to say that at school number 1, we had 73% of our students were in-person learning. That's the highest percentage of any school in person in the district. We were also able to successfully, abiding by all COVID rules, provide a trunk or treat. We were able to do 2 in-person book fairs that allowed students to shop in person and virtually participate. We did a food drive. We also did a clothing drive. We did Valentine boxes for special friends and family. There was a wonderful lunar New Year celebration organized by Victoria Park. We had 2 famous authors brought into the students' classrooms and into their homes. For grades K through 2, we had Jonathan Schultzman. He's the author of Tiny T-Rex and the Ginormous Hug. One of his books has just been sold to make a movie. For grades 3 through 4, we had Catherine Applegate, the author of The One and Only Ivan. Every student received a book written by the author that came on to talk about. We also had, we were able to feed the teachers a welcome back lunch, and during Teachers Appreciation Week, we were able to show our teachers appreciation every single day of the week by doing something special, whether it be by a gift or by food or a note. It was amazing. We had a normal field day. We had a 4th grade moving up ceremony and a luau. Kindergarten, for the kindergarten walkout. The kindergartners had handmade caps that were designed by Rosemary Giacomelli and made for them. We had a yearbook designed by Pink. The partitions that are in the schools, the district are using in the elementary schools were bought by Rosemary Giacomelli, who drove to the warehouse to buy them, bring them into the district. When they weren't so easily approved, she went all the way to the state fire department to have them looked at and approved for children's safety, so that children could be brought into the school and learn where she knew that was the best place for them to be in school and to have the school ready and safe for COVID learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Seeing no one else here physically present in the cafetorium, Harkeisha, do we have any raised hands?
I see one raised hand. I will promote you shortly. To the remaining public that's on Zoom, please raise your hand now if you would like to make a public comment. Again, please raise your hand now, and I will call you in the order of the raised hands. Magda, I'm promoting you to panelists. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Magda?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Magda von der Linden. I live at 363 Wilson Ave here in Fort Lee. I just wanted to jump on tonight and add on to the parents who have already begun expressing concern as to what the plans are for when schools reopen on September 9th. I'm well aware that certain things remain, need to be decided upon and are mandated by the state government, and which the district doesn't have control of. I'm not going to sit here and throw statistics and medical findings. I assume and believe you have plenty of resources and access to that info. Mask mandates aside, I feel like I want to be reassured that you, Ms. Schoen and Ms. Colbath, are being truly proactive and already are sitting down and looking at different options for different scenarios to have our schools safe and ready. I hope you're not waiting until the last minute to see what the state of New Jersey mandates to begin creating plans. That's somehow the impression that I took away the last meeting. Hence, my confidence in how things are progressing is a little low, especially thinking on how things were handled last year. Last year, we were subjected to robotic and sometimes dismissive responses from Rhoda, regular use of template letters, which for the most part were uninformative. Questions from the community were regularly given lip service responses. And it became evident as the days led closer to the school that the school district was not as prepared as we were told. Our community is a group of educated, well-informed, concerned parents, teachers, and staff. And I don't think it's fair to have plans thrown at us last minute when there's plenty of time to research and think things through and present it. I think it's a poor reflection on the board, the administration, and very unfair to principals, teachers, staff, parents, and most of all, kids. So Ms. Schoen and Ms. Colbath, I think I look at you as the faces of the administration and the board. I noticed that, I understand there's a lot of logistics and check boxes to think of. That doesn't go unnoticed. But what I do notice is that you're both clearly strong personalities. And when you really want to figure out how to make things happen, you make it happen. So I look to you for regular and clear communication, transparency, and reassurance, and not make this another August filled with confusion, frustration, and vague answers. So I have 2 questions. The first is, in 2 parts, has the Pandemic Task Force Committee already met? And if not, is there a set date on the calendar for them to meet? How regularly will they be meeting leading up to September 9th? And does this committee communicate with the school principals? Then has there been a date set for the group, the interim superintendent, the board members, or whatever committee is responsible to actually go through the building and reassess plant needs? As of now, we're supposed to be operating at full capacity. Last year, classrooms were not filled to that capacity. So things worked out well. My daughter went in, my boy stayed home, but it worked out. When we reopen, I just have this last sentence. When we reopen on September 9th, how are crowded classrooms and hallways going to be handled, taking into consideration the different factors at play? That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Magda. Dr. Schoen, I see her writing down. She's got your questions. I know she's prepared.
I'm going to do my very best. That was extremely articulate. And I'd really rather look at you when I talk. Is it possible if I can do that?
Take your mic off.
I want to take my mic off. No, I can't.
You
Can
can
we
go
undo
over
this a
there.
little bit?
You wanna go over there?
Go over there? Is that better? Yes. Sure. Thank you. Can you see me? Can you see me? Yes?
Look at John.
Yes, thanks.
Look there?
I see you.
Okay, you can see me, you can hear me well?
I see you well.
Yes? Okay, that was extremely articulate. And I think you probably speak for a great deal of people in the requests that you have. Well, you can understand I'm not going to speak to last year, I'm not going to speak to communication, and I'm not going to speak to school readiness, and I'm sure you can appreciate that. I came on board officially on July 1st. The board will be actively involved. You speak of the pandemic committee, and are we beginning to schedule those meetings? We are. We're going to start those next week. Will the principals be involved? Absolutely. Will the board be involved? Absolutely. The board does have a pandemic committee, and what I asked for permission to do this year is to dissolve that committee and make sure that every board member was aware of what I am planning on presenting, along with Ms. Baker and my administrative team on August 16th. I am not trying to drag this process along. I join my colleagues in waiting. And we're not waiting because we don't have answers, we're waiting to determine what's best. Right now, the governor is saying full day, in person, all students. He has not deviated from that.
Right.
The road forward is guidance delivered by the New Jersey Department of Education, and they're saying full day in person. They're saying masks are optional. We know that there have been changes in the last few days. So if I would have come out, we would have come out with a plan last week. As parents so want to know what's going to happen, and rightfully so, I would have had to change that this week and perhaps again next. So we are absolutely going to be working toward that. Principals will absolutely be part of the plan's development, as will our nurses, as will our association leadership, as will directors. We will make sure that everyone who is most affected or can most give us input. We're only as great as our synergy, right? We need everyone. It can't just come from one person. I don't believe it did last year, and it won't. Ms. Colbath will be an active member of what it is we do as the leadership for this Board of Education. So next week, those meetings will be taking place. Yes, we will talk about our facility needs and what that looks like, depending on what the mandates are. Remember, last year, it went from 6 feet apart, hence the reason that we did hybrid instruction. This year, it's 3 feet, and it's 3 feet as, what is the exact terminology?
To the
extent possible. So if we're going to go full day instructions, knowing our schools are of all different sizes, it is quite likely we will not be maintaining the 6 feet. If we could, we would. The guidance is saying as we can with 3 feet. Are we going to be masked? We're going to see what that guidance says. Our plan is to come up with 3 different scenarios. The scenario that is the most restrictive, the scenario that's moderately restrictive, and the scenario when we report on the 16th that is quite likely. That doesn't mean that there will not be disclaimers in written communication and throughout that presentation that's going to let everyone know this is fluid. It may change. You may hear from me in 2 days, and if the governor changes the whole plan, then we must follow suit.
Sure.
Does that
No,
kind of
that
make
makes
sense?
perfect sense. I think it's just, I'm happy to hear that. I appreciate you outlining it for me. And again, for me, it just goes back to the communication to everyone. And I know you said it last week, you're not gonna be able to make everyone happy. It's just the communication and how it's disseminated to all of us.
Perhaps, not to interrupt you, but perhaps what may be best is that Ms. Baker and I put out some communication perhaps tomorrow or Monday, just letting everyone know what's happening, and so that you know it's forthcoming.
Right.
So we'll
again,
talk about what that may look like, although I see you, Ms. Colback. It's very interesting to be in this perspective, because usually you're watching the hands raised. So just please know that we're taking this very sincerely, and we're going to do the very best we can by our staff and by our students. And there are a lot of moving parts and a lot of things going on. It's not an excuse, it's just our reality.
all
I'm
right,
gonna call
great.
on the board president to speak. I've never done this
No,
before in
I
a board
want to
meeting.
ask a question, just so we understand. A milestone. You expect to have a written plan that'll appear on our agenda for the board to approve on August 16th,
No.
correct? No, oh,
No.
that's what I thought you
That's a
said.
really good question. That's a really good question. At this point in time, we're not responsible for submitting written plans to the county. What we are responsible for doing is communicating what our plan is to you and our community.
Okay.
So in answer to your question, the board will have heard and spoken to us and relayed any concerns. Included in your board packet will be the full plan that you will review, and then the letter to the community along with an extensive FAQ will be sent out to the entire community. So everyone will see it, but there won't be a resolution. That's the reason I said no to you.
Okay,
But it
understood.
will be included in your packet for your full review prior to Diane and I meeting with each of you in groups, no more than 4, or individually if that's what your schedule can allow for.
Understood.
Sound like a
Thank
plan? Is everyone good? Did I
Awesome.
comprehensively answer your question?
Very much. Thank you. Much
Very
appreciated.
well.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, Magda.
Thanks.
Thank you, Magda. Zenja, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. State your name and address for the record. Zenja. We can't hear you. It might be your headset because you don't seem to be muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. My name is Zhenya Antich. I live at 5 Drury Lane in Fort Lee. My apologies. I was not able to be present at the Monday meeting. We had just gotten back on Sunday from Europe, so we are still jet lagged. I have a question about masks. As the current status of what the governor has announced is that the masks are optional and it's up to each individual district. So my question is, what is the position of the Fort Lee district right now?
That's a really good question, and we don't have one. And I'm being really honest with you. The guidance is changing every day. What I just answered in the previous question is we're in the process of taking a look at it. We really have, 3 or 4 different options, right? Everyone needs to wear a mask. Masks are optional. Masks are optional whether or not you've been vaccinated or not vaccinated. So we have to look at what that looks like and what the guidance is prior to making that decision. Right now, districts, and speaking with many East Bergen superintendents today, districts are leaning in a number of different ways. We're going to take all that information, and by the 16th, we're going to make the best possible recommendation for Fort Lee based on CDC and local health guidelines.
So, well, the current status is that he said it was optional up to each individual district. So my comment also about masks, I didn't know that up until recently. All masks are under an emergency use authorization and are not really authorized by the CDC, and anything that's under an EUA cannot be mandated. So anyone who mandates masks is in violation of federal law. I mean, it's crazy. As crazy as it sounds, that's how it is. So I really hope that the Fort Lee district will make the masks optional and make everyone do what they want to do and not mandate something that's actually in violation of federal law.
Okay, the federal law that you're referring to, I am not aware of, so I cannot speak to. Secondly, we certainly don't want to be in violation of anything. However, we will try to make the best possible recommendation so that our staff and students are the safest they can be at the time. In regard to mandates, if there is a mandate for masks to be worn by the governor or through CDC and local health guidelines, it will be the direction that I head. But I don't have all of that yet, and we are a week and a half away. So while I understand that I would love for staff and students and parents to do what it is that they feel best, our job is to run this institution, our district, our students' homes away from home to the safest possible extent that we can. So I appreciate your sentiment, but I will probably not be able to lean that way with letting people do whatever it is that they want to do. We're going to have to be uniform in some capacity.
Well, if it's optional, if it's not mandated by anyone, is it going to be optional in Fort Lee?
I don't know, and you had asked that question to begin with, and at this point, I don't have a position. I don't have a position, and the reason I don't is not because I'm not willing to make one, it's just that I want to have the most information that I possibly can before I do, knowing, as I've said 2 meetings ago, we will not make everyone happy, but we will try to do the very best by our staff and our students, and I promise you that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathleen, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your
Probably
video.
should just stay over there.
Get yours.
Hello?
Hello.
Welcome,
Good,
Kathleen.
good evening. I don't know if the board can answer this question, but just wondering if there was a decision as far as the principal in school one, and will they have a principal come September, or will Sharon Amato be acting principal in school one?
That's a really good question. And the answer to that is there has been no decision made at this point. Dr. D'Amato's assignment right now is just administrator in charge. She's not serving as acting principal. She's simply in place at this point should parents or anyone have any questions. At this point, there is no decision relative to School One. However, I can tell you that there will be in short order, and the communication to that will go out to parents. It is our hope that, it is not our hope, we know that the school will be as well taken care of as it can be in the beginning of September.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. Do you think the decision will be made on the August 16th meeting? Or it's just going along and then finding out, hopefully a decision will be reached by August 16th, or will it go into September? You probably can't answer that.
I can, I'm just couching it in. I highly anticipate that we will know by the August 16th meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I see no more raised hands. Up, of course, there's a raised hand. Again, please raise your hand now if you'd like to make a public comment. Please raise your hand now if you are in Zoom land and you would like to make a comment. Stephanie, advance or no? Stephanie, I saw your hand raised and I no longer see it raised. I now see your hand raised. Stephanie, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Stephanie?
Yes, hi, hello, everyone.
Hi, Stephanie.
Good morning. First, I'd like to refer you to what the law is under 21 U.S. Code 360 BBB-3, emergency use authorization. If you are a teacher or a parent and you are being threatened in the state of New Jersey, all vaccines, masks, and PCR tests, which have now, the FDA has said they are no longer using the PCR test as of December because they cannot differentiate between the flu and COVID. You can go to the FDA's website to find this. Under this US code, emergency use authorizations cannot be mandated. Why can they not be mandated? Because per the Nuremberg Code of Ethics in the United States, which we signed on to the Nuremberg Code, you cannot experiment on human subjects. Masks, per their package, say they cannot block COVID. Masks cannot block COVID because COVID is not a large particle, it is aerosol. I would point the panel to the smileproject.global for the aerosol weight. The CDC is not an elected body. The CDC gives guidance. The CDC also gave factor 8 to the entire world and spread AIDS all over the entire globe by saying we had tainted blood that wasn't tainted. The CDC takes pharmaceutical money off its 501c3 back end to the tune of Pfizer and every other company. Our children have masked, they are filthy, they touch them. A mask does not block aerosol. No doctor in an ER is wearing a mask thinking it blocks them from getting a virus. We know this by the randomized controlled trials that were done, not trials on dummies out of India, randomized controlled trials in a setting with sick people. So if you are sick, you can spread a disease. We also know that there is not asymptomatic spread per the NIH studies that were done. So sick people can spread something. 327 children have died to date from COVID in the United States in 1.7 years. Are we into this? I had COVID in March of 2020. I have antibodies still, and I also did T-cell detect. T-detect is available in the United States. It can detect your antibodies. Oh, but the FDA says, let's not look at antibodies for the vaccinated. Why? Today in Alberta, Canada, there was a huge lawsuit and a win. Alberta, Canada is now not masking, no mandatory vaccine, no mandatory anything. They are treating COVID as another sickness. Children do not die from COVID. If they do, they are very, very ill to begin with. Children need people, hugs, kisses, friendship, love, school, teachers, faces, lips. Children need this. If you are in Fort Lee and you want to fight, I am here for the fight because I will sue the Board of Ed, the Public Health Department, if they try to mask our children with anything other than a government mandate. Children touch their face all day long. Masks that are reused by touched hands are filthy. And maybe the Fort Lee Board of Ed wants to invest some money into testing the masks after an hour with children wearing them to see what is on them. Bacteria, fecal matter, and every other thing.
Thank you for your comments. 3 minutes
I
expired.
want to know what the plan is. I want to know what your plan is. No, you said that it's fluid. We are not fluid. We are 1.7 years.
The 3 minutes has ended. I allowed you to go a little.
But you didn't respond. What is the plan? What is the plan?
Now, let the superintendent tell you again. There are meetings that are coming up. I could repeat what she said.
I want the names of who is in the meetings. I want them. I will give you all the handouts. I want to be able to give you actual documents, not just my word.
Okay.
I'm sure that
Stephanie, we're all out.
send them.
Stephanie,
Good.
Yes, thank you.
Stephanie, if you would be kind enough to send me those documents.
I
know-
will. I wanted to meet with you, but it wasn't possible. And thank you for wanting to meet with me.
I
Thank you.
did want to meet with you, and I was scheduled to meet with you, and
Yes.
you had called and had to cancel.
Yes, I did.
And I will be more than happy to meet with you.
Thank
But
you.
you referred to a lot of documents, and I can't write that quickly.
Okay.
And I know that Diane Baker was doing her very best because she knows that I'm gonna look up what you're saying.
I will submit everything in writing. I am upstate right now, but I am coming home and I will.
If you would be kind enough, I listed very, very eloquently, I believe the members of the committee, we're gonna do our due diligence. We're not interested in being sued. We're interested in the right things by kids, and that includes hugs and kisses and love and all of that.
And
It is-
understanding speech. Speech and lips and communication with a face is very important. I have 2 IEP students. They don't understand a thing you say if you're in a mask. They just don't.
Stephanie, I understand, and I don't like them either, right? So I took mine off so that you could hear me
Thank
clearly.
you.
So
Thank you.
you're very
Thank you.
welcome. And I understand what you're saying, but let's do this together.
Thank you.
Let's go through this together so that I can
know, but
explain my
We
part.
need to come up with a real plan, a real idea, and parents can't be waiting till the last minute to decide if they need to enroll their child in another school. That's really, you're leaving parents without the option to make a decision to pull their child from a setting that they do not want them in, to put them in a better setting that may, or potentially, I'm not gonna say, potentially a setting that would be more conducive to the way they want their child to live out their school life.
And I understand exactly what you're saying, and it is a parent's prerogative, and it would upset me if that's the choice, because I believe this is an excellent school district.
I do too. I do too.
But we know as a Board of Education, and I know as your interim superintendent with over 4,200 students,
every choice and everything we make is not going to make everyone happy. The
I
only thing
understand.
we can do is the best we can. So please allow me that opportunity. You keep saying I'm waiting until the last minute. I'm trying to do my due diligence. Please send me what it is that you have. I promise to take a look at it and try to understand it, as I hope you will do the same when I make a presentation.
I will. Thank
Sound like
you.
a plan?
Yes, thank you.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Thank you, Stephanie. Any more raised hands?
I see no more raised hands.
Could I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
Motion.
Second. Motion Richter, second Morel, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you guys for coming out tonight.
We need a motion